All righty, everybody. Thank you for coming back from lunch. It was nice to be able to get a break and be able to network and do a little shopping, feed our bodies as we're going through this day. So I just want to welcome everybody back from lunch and say that we're going to continue on here. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Linda Hoskins. She's on our board, and she's going to come up and talk about what's next.
Thanks, Krista. Welcome back. I hope you all had a wonderful, refreshing break and lunch, and you're ready for another session here. I'm so happy to be introducing our next speaker. Her name is Lari Harger. Began her journey into healthcare with a deep desire to provide others with the kind of holistic care she was seeking for herself and her family. She's been a registered nurse since 2005 and a psychiatric nurse practitioner since 2001. Since 2008, she's studied and practiced the method of heart energy healing with the Institute for Applied Meditation, I Am Heart. She works for the health department of the Pasquayaki tribe. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes.
Okay. Where she's grateful to be allowed the time and the creativity to integrate botanical, nutritional, energetic healing practices with standard psychiatric care. She loves living in the Sonoran desert town of Tucson, Arizona, where she and her husband are building a sustainable home. Their young adult children and grandchildren regularly fill their home with laughter and music. I was there a couple weeks ago. It's a gorgeous town. Yeah. Her joy in sharing heart energy healing has inspired her to develop a professional peer support network for nurses and energy healers called Nurses Healing Nurses, which officially launched just this year. And if you have been in the vendor room, you may have seen this table with some of her materials on it. She offers a monthly heart rhythm meditation, and she has a cohort for heart energy healing coming up, I think, in July. Her conviction, which I love this part, is that as more of us connect with our hearts, we will transcend today's challenges to create a world where the diversity of all life is celebrated and nurtured. So please help me welcome Lari Harger.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you to the board for inviting me. When I proposed to present here with you, I am so touched. I'm very touched by your gathering and your organization. And I wish to begin today simply acknowledging that we are on beautiful land right now, and I have a lot of gratitude to the original stewards of this land, the peoples of the Anishinaabe nations, the Dakota Sioux, and so many other indigenous people who have loved this land and lived here in peace. And I want to really also acknowledge our present moment. As many people have already alluded to, this is an incredible time that we're all living together on Earth. And I want to recognize and celebrate that despite the appearance of polarization and divisiveness, that every day we go about our business with people of very different ways of being in the world, people who don't look like us, people who are multicultural, people who are non-binary or devoutly religious or atheist or progressive or traditionalist. And we all get along anyway. And we go about our daily lives showing respect and kindness to people without knowing their background. And then you all come together here, and it's like you're already on the same page. And you're already devoting all of this time to uncovering your hearts. And so much of what you've said here just felt like, oh, I'm just repeating what they're already saying in my talk. But I hope today that I can just maybe, rather than preach to the choir, introduce a few more chords as I understand healing from the heart to happen. And I'm really looking forward to having this as a shared journey together where I'll tell you what I've brought to you and we can explore it together. So thank you all for the creativity and the dedication to bring your resources to gather this way, because it's what the world needs, more bridges of transformation, and that's what you're all doing. This is an overview of what I would like to do with you today. It's color-coded. So the parts in dark print are where I will be sharing my information with you. And then in orange, it's orange, are things that I'd like us to do together or to be interactive. So we'll do a little sensation and orientation. I'll present a model of the heart in 4 dimensions and talk more about heart coherence. Thank you very much, Kate, for introducing all of that. She kind of covered the first part of it. And we'll talk about we'll do some movement to just get the heart center energized, breathing into the heart in 4 dimensions. We'll take a break either then, or maybe I'll talk about attunement a little bit first. And then the time after the break is mostly interactive with partner practices, assessing the heart field, supporting the heart field, and talking more about interconnection and self-care. And I wish for just discussion to be woven throughout that time too. So please join in when something moves you. I'd love to hear it. So just to begin with connecting to self, I mean, my goodness, this is the most amazing room full of, some 80-some people, and that it is so peaceful already. I like to begin when I give a talk with orienting and grounding, because it's usually what people need, but I think you're already pretty well grounded. But I'll still just do that, and maybe you can't get too much of it. The way I really like to do that too is using the senses. So you're all very skilled at paying attention and getting through tons of educational programs, or you wouldn't be here. And we get good at looking straight ahead. So I would invite you just to let your eyes wander around and let your eyes be off leash. And they can rise up and down, and wherever they are drawn, noticing the variation in color, light and dark, the textures around you. Just notice what it feels like to not be focused straight ahead. Maybe some of you did this as a kid, where you look at something and just let your gaze blur and soften without even moving your eyes. And then usually a teacher comes along and says, pay attention. So stop paying attention right now and just try that. You see a spot in front of you with focus. Notice that you're breathing. Let it soften and blur, and without even moving your eyes, you're seeing a little bit more what's in the periphery. And then you keep breathing, and you can see it in focus again. Be aware of how that feels for you. Let your attention drift more towards your ears, noticing what you hear. There are sounds up close, farther away. Perhaps you can even hear anything outside of this room. And just register what it feels like for you to sink into that sense. Connect with your physical sense of touch. The way the clothing touches your skin. The pressure of your body sitting on the chair. The floor beneath you. Just settle into your physical presence in any way that it's really accessible and comfortable to you. And notice how that feels. Notice when there's resistance as well as comfort. And if there's no right way, it's actually quite common for people to have some resistance to some aspects of sensory orientation. And that's just something very interesting to work with. It's an area to allow more curiosity. And I find it very valuable for myself and for working with clients, and probably for all of us, to really intentionally explore those senses frequently. Because we spend so much time figuring it all out up here that we forget this whole mammalian nervous system that we are so beautifully equipped with, where your central nervous system, your autonomic nervous system is always trying to make a map of where you are to find out if you're safe or not. And when we ignore those sensations, if we've had any trouble in our past, is anybody here who hasn't had any trouble in their past? If you've been primed to sense when there's trouble and get away from it, you forget to tune into those senses, and it's very easy just to slip into trouble's coming. Don't look around, don't soften your gaze, don't take it all in. So thank you for participating in that with me. Should I speak louder?
It's cutting in and out, so switch to the handheld.
Switch to the handheld?
Or don't turn your head.
Don't turn my head. I'm trying to get off leash here, man. Maybe I need one of those healing touch for animals practitioners to help me out right now. Is that better? Okay. I will do, oops. Maybe I should turn off. So this is a really important process to be able to come back to all parts of the body regularly, because heart energy healing is really a practice of embodiment. And we'll go through that in a few different ways, just recognizing that every cell of your body has wisdom to share with you. And sometimes we just need to take a moment to tune into it. Oh, the other reason that I would like to say that that's valuable to just get out of the head and come to your senses is because I think a lot of people in this room tend to pick up on the sensations of others, right? And maybe you already know that, but it took me a long time of working with other people to actually start to recognize that the sensations that I experienced at times were not my own. Yeah, so the more you take that time to really ground into the singularity that is you and what your usual terrain is, the more you notice when you're off center, but then you can also really identify when you're working with people that something else can be valuable information about what this other individual is experiencing. And I'm going to be talking about heart energy healing as the method that I use for doing energy work. I feel like I'm excited to have a conversation with you all about how it is similar and how it might vary from healing touch, which I only know more peripherally, but have great love and respect for too. Heart energy healing was, it's grounded in ancient Sufi healing practices that were introduced into the West in the early 1900s by the mystic Hazrat Inayat Khan, who came from India to live and teach in the United States and Europe. And he wrote and taught extensively about the use of circulating breath with the heartbeat for healing. And then in the 1980s, Paran and Susanna Baer started the organization I Am Heart, where I trained in heart energy healing. And they've really done a great job of synthesizing these ancient methods with our current understanding of biofields. And where I use heart energy healing mostly in my regular daily clinical practice is at the emotional level. So it is, like I think most healing methods, you can work with it on the physical level, the emotional level, and for spiritual renewal. And the heart is really where we experience emotional wounding. And I would venture to say that most of the problems humanity faces today have to do with unhealed emotional wounds. And it's an incredibly rewarding practice to step out of the usual confines of psychiatric practice and work with people in this very embodied way to resolve old emotional wounds, sometimes inherited and sometimes from this particular lifetime. So this picture right here is of Susanna Baer, who I trained with. I thought this would give me a little, there's a light. That's Susanna working on one of our classmates who happens to be a psychiatrist in practice in Germany. And so she's on a table and Susanna's using her hands to deliver heart energy to the chakras. So this is how we do heart energy healing at the emotional level. It's on the table to access the chakras, like how you do with, I believe, with a lot of healing touch, right? But what we'll do today when we do some partner practice will be the methods that are more for physical support while sitting in a chair. So we were talking earlier, Kate talked a lot about how the heart is not just an organ. And it's so great. You guys already know all that. But I'd still love to explore a little bit more about what the heart organ is, because the physiological understanding of it has evolved a lot from the days when most of our textbooks were published, where there was a real top-down idea about everything, but including physiology, that the brain was the central computer that ran the show. What we know now about the heart is that it's the center of a more body-up system, and current physiology and mental health really do take a much more bottom-up embodied approach. As you know, the heart has its own nervous system where it's going to keep beating even if the brain is offline. And there are more afferent nerve fibers of the autonomic nervous system that travel from the heart to the brain than there are from the brain to the heart. Most autonomic nervous system nerve fibers are not from the brain down, it's body up. But 90% of those come from the heart rather than the rest of the body and travel to the emotional processing centers of the brain. And the heart is also an endocrine gland, which I didn't learn about in school, but the heart actually makes norepinephrine, dopamine, the balance hormone, atrial natriuretic factor was the very first hormone discovered to be made by the heart. But oxytocin, the love hormone, without which we would never bond with anybody, is actually synthesized by the heart and secreted in levels similar to how much comes from the brain. So the heart does so much in terms of just keeping us functioning and regulated. And this is even reflected in the shape of the heart, which is very much a spiral form. So this is what we understand when you dissect the heart out. It is one long band of muscle, and that's twisted back on itself to form two interlocking spirals that make the spaces of the two atria and the ventricles. So we have spirals within spirals, and then the blood spirals through that. So it's really more than just a pump, but the way that it pumps is really fascinating because it was not understood in physiology for quite a while, up until the past few decades, just how this tiny little fist-sized organ in your heart manages to pump about 5 liters of blood every minute, viscous fluid through a high-pressured system. How does this little pump do it? You know, it would take a mechanical pneumatic pump many times the size to accomplish what this little series of interlocking spirals in your chest accomplishes. And it's because of the wisdom of that form. That spiral form changes shape in 6 different ways. What does it do? It widens and narrows, it lengthens and shortens, it twists and it untwists. And the understanding of that has really advanced the science of cardiology to do a better job repairing when there are mechanical problems in the heart, because they're able to work with that. But I just find it fascinating that the heart does so much more than pump, and that so much of that comes from that spiral form, which you can see in the images of, this is the muscle fiber of the heart as it's dissected out. You can see the spirals there, and the drawing gives you a little bit clearer idea of how it's the left and the right. So that shape is really replicated throughout nature. Those are the spirals of your fingerprint and the spirals of calcium ions. The spiral form that is so much more efficient at distributing the reproductive wisdom of these beautiful flowers here. It doesn't happen on a grid, it happens in a spiral. It's a very resilient shape that can withstand the battering ocean waves or battering ram's horns. You can do real battle with the heart. It's a thing of power and beauty. It's a very efficient, below microscopic size spiral that encodes life from one generation to the next. It's fascinated humans for centuries that we replicate spirals in art and architecture. And we make our home in this incredibly vast spiral of the Milky Way. So just in contemplating the shape of your heart, we're contemplating this structure, this sacred geometry of life. And Kate talked a lot about heart coherence earlier. I think that this is information that is familiar to a lot of you, but I'll go into it a little bit more. Coherence happens through different ways, and oftentimes we talk about achieving coherence through positive emotions. Coherence, just to define the terms a little bit more, heart rate variability is something that we all have to some degree or another. It's, as you know, the variation between beats. So every beat is not exactly the same distance apart. A healthy heart does not work as a metronome. It's not like the seconds of the hand that are all 1 second. But when you have good heart rate variability, then you have more adaptability. It's a lead indicator of overall physical health, and it's also a great indicator of your adaptability and resilience to the moment. And you're totally welcome to take pictures of the slides, and you can also just get the whole file from me too. High heart rate variability is a way that we have this. We're able to enter into coherence and increase variability by really intentionally feeling the rate of your breath and feeling the rate of your heart at the same time. So it's true that we tend to enter coherence when we experience these positive emotions, when we can feel joy and appreciation, and then it's easier to slip into coherence. But sometimes we just don't feel joyful. Sometimes life is kind of hard, right? And like, wow, I don't feel coherent when I turn on the news. And one option is to ignore the news, which I've done a lot of. Another option is that you can face the stress, stay embodied, feel your breath rate, feel your heart rate, and you can witness what's happening without getting knocked off center, and you can achieve coherence despite the stressors that you face. I used to do this fun thing with my kids because this image is taken from the M-Wave software that's developed by the Institute of Heart Math, who's done a lot of great research about how coherence works and how we co-regulate, and I'll talk more about that. So at the beginning, you see somebody who's not too disorganized here. I certainly see heart rate variability patterns that are way more chaotic than this, but they are beginning a practice to achieve coherence, and you see this incredible rhythmic pattern, very high coherence. So we have the pulse on the vertical axis and time on the horizontal. So this is a good example where I think it goes down to from below 70, so mid 60s, even approaching 60 there, to up close to 100 there. So this beat-to-beat variability is healthy and strong, and you can achieve that. So I used to do this fun thing with my kids when they were younger, where I would have them get on the M-Wave. It's a pretty accessible software package. And it has these games that kids can do to achieve coherence, and they'd have me do it, and then they'd try to knock me out of coherence. So they might, they were little boys, and they would do some, just goofy boy things, and I would laugh, or they'd try to do something to try to make me mad. And so it was just a practice of how do we maintain or get back into coherence. So if anybody has any observations about it along the way, I will definitely stop and invite questions too. So good coherence is a very valuable part of stress reduction, where you're able to handle stress more because you're more mentally fluid and accurate. People make better decisions. There's a lot of robust science that you can find on the HeartMath website about this. I won't go into all those details because that would be more like preaching to the choir, I think. Your intuition is more available to you when you're in coherence, and your emotions are better regulated, and your physical heart is in better shape, because we know stress ruins the heart. And we're not going to get out of stress unless you get out of this world. And I hope that we're all here together for quite a while yet. And so you have a real anti-inflammatory effect on the heart and the vessels and the body system as in general through maintaining and achieving coherence. Other things also come into synchronicity when you're in a coherent state. It influences the craniosacral rhythms, which are more stable. You maintain very low frequency brain rhythms better. The electrical potentials across the heart travel in a smoother, more effective fashion, and it can also help regulate the digestive system too. So these are all ingredients of healing. These are the things that we want our clients to have more access to. And the good news is that when you are able to enter into coherence, your clients co-regulate without even having to work at it the same way that you have. And then you can also, for sure, teach the methods to do that, but all in good time. And as I believe you're all already aware, the heart is the generator of the electromagnetic field. It's through these intricate and coordinated movements of the heart muscle changing shape in those different directions that a spiral has the fluidity to do. Then if you went to nursing school, you had to memorize that path of the blood through the heart. And that's, if you think of it, it's a spiral form. So the blood comes in from the body through the atria, the ventricles, lungs, atria, ventricles, body, so it's a spiral form. All these iron-rich red blood cells circulating through, that's how you create a magnet. And that's why this little organ of the heart creates a magnetic field that's 100 times bigger than the field of the brain. And your pattern of coherence really helps maintain the integrity of that field. So when you have that coherent field that you're sharing with the world, it's not just a bridge, it's bridges and networks going in every direction. So inside, your system is communicating and working efficiently so that things are entering into the same time signature in a way, but also your interpersonal interactions are supported by your coherent field. And then there is just a beautiful body of growing evidence of really rigorous exploration of how human fields communicate with the planetary field, and how the planetary field is influenced by the solar field. And what the Global Coherence Initiative has done a lot of work and is continuing to do a lot of work exploring how this all happens. They're finding how changes in human magnetic fields and frequencies often change in advance of stressors that affect large populations. So magnetic fields carry information. And the more we're able to tune that field, the more we can receive that information and also influence it. Because what groups of coherent people can do is they don't just receive, like Kate was saying, the heart is a receiver and a transmitter. So the heart, when we are really able to understand on an intricate way the function of the heart, we're able to influence the planetary fields. We're able to download to the earth and upload from the earth and download from the heavens and upload our experience to support all of life, because all of life is supported by the field of the earth. So if you have an influence even in your own little region, you're supporting a field that supports all of life. I think, that's the way I think of it when I read on your website, the NCHT website, Janet Menken's beautiful quote that our strength is in our collective. And when we are able to really nourish our field, then that collective strength is just even more effective and powerful. So I've covered a few of the basics of why the heart is so worth your attention and exploration. Big surprise, right? You guys didn't know how important the heart was. But I would like to go from that into looking at a model of how then we can work with the heart. So this is an energetic model to help understand how the heart center works. So it's important to recognize the physical function, because that has a real effect on healing our emotional wounds. So we look at the heart and these, you're all heart, really, because all the other chakras and energy centers of the body are contained within the heart's field. So we can think of it as moving upward in the dimension of the height. This is where we experience idealism, surprise. It's expressed by, phrases like lift up your heart, or raising your hand to volunteer for something, raising your eyebrows in surprise. Those are all expressions of the height. And opposite that, in the vertical direction, we can sink down into the depth. The depth of the heart is this well, a deep well of all emotion. So we have access to joy and peace and surrender and frustration and grief and anger even, and sadness. These are all parts of the depth of the heart. And especially in my field, in mental health, there's a lot of emphasis on getting away from those negative emotions. But if we want to plug up one, we're going to have a hard time accessing the others. So we can have methods to really attend to the depth of the heart and recognize that all emotions come from one well. So the heart also moves in the horizontal dimension, and this has to do with your networking, how you connect out laterally. And we understand the left to be more about receptivity, acceptance, tenderness. This is where you talk about the bleeding heart. Not such a bad thing as long as it's balanced out. So on the right side, we have more of the expressive qualities, the way that we influence the world and express ourselves in the world. And when the two are balanced, you really need the two to be balanced for stability. And we also have a back to our heart. Who's got your back? Have you ever been stabbed in the back? It's usually with words and actions more than anything else. Well, what else is there? Words and actions. It's usually with words and behaviors, I should say. And so this is where you can receive a sense of support, guidance, teaching. This can be teachings from people that you know, your parents, teachers. It can be your ancestral lineage. It could be your spiritual lineage. And when you have that back support, you're more able to step forward into putting yourself out there, creatively moving forward in life from your heart center. And then we have this very mysterious inner dimension of the heart, where in this paradigm, we understand the very inner sanctum to actually be the most expansive. And if you have the ability to find peace, to go out into nature, to take a moment to settle in, you're really nourishing the inner dimension of the heart. And that allows you to move outward into all directions, the all pervading directions of the outer dimension of the heart. They're just reciprocal functions. So this is, I find, a really constructive, non-pathologizing framework to understand confusing emotions and behaviors. And let's see, Kate was talking about those challenges. I was thinking, oh, those match the different dimensions. And I was taking all these notes. She talked about imposter syndrome. I consider that to be something of a vacancy of the back of the heart. And it can be a spiritual calling. If I feel like an imposter, what do I represent? Maybe it comes from just having too small of a concept of ourselves. So how do I connect with all of life that I feel that I can represent my heart's calling in such a way? I don't think there's anything wrong with imposter syndrome, because it helps us just keep looking at ourselves and exploring our sense of identity. But we don't want to be crippled by it. Oh, I love that, the discussion about the productive procrastinator. So that felt to me like a blockage in the forward dimension of the heart, where you have that fear that keeps you from moving forward. And I was having a sense of it. I'm trying to remember just the sense I was having listening to her. We don't go into those challenges by meeting them head on. Okay, the front of your heart is blocked. You got to go out there and push against it. You can complement it with the other dimensions. So if the front is blocked, and you're having you're afraid of the responsibility that success can bring, like she was talking about. I think that's a familiar experience for a lot of us. It's like that's the width that's expressed by your shoulders, that not wanting too much responsibility. Well, we don't need to go straight into, okay, let's toughen up those shoulders and make them bigger. We can go into the complementary dimensions. So we might really need more of that flow from the height to the depth. We might need time for that. And that's also corresponding to the water element, to allow things to just flow, or to allow yourself the time to go into the inner dimension of the heart, to have a little bit of peace and stillness. And from that really nourished inner dimension, where the heart generates this beautiful light, then when it's full enough, it just is going to want to go forward anyway. And your width will become strong enough that one more responsibility, I got it. No, not more. Well, then you need to learn about delegation too. So this is a little bit more of an example of how those distortions of the heart center can explain some of the imbalances that we feel. So again, this is a very non-pathologizing view. We can all experience these at different times. Have you ever just felt crushed? Yeah, like I was hopeful, I was way up there, and boom. Yeah, and you don't even want to go back up and hope again because that hurts so badly. Yeah, that happens. Have you ever felt like staying on the surface of things? Just let's have some chit chat. Don't get too deep. Don't really ask me how I am. The shallow heart. Oh my gosh. I think we can develop that really well. Staying on the surface, because it hurts to go down deep sometimes too, and we can really hold a lot of emotional wounds down there in the depth. When somebody has been hurt by expressing themselves more in the horizontal dimension, maybe they got teased a lot or rejected a lot, then you kind of shrink in and you become more narrow. And then you're just always in the height. I've got my ideals, it's my way or the highway, and if you guys aren't coming with me, that's fine. I'm better off alone. Can be a tempting story to tell yourself. And then the blocked heart can be, like we were just talking about, the blocked forward dimension of the heart. So distortions are not pathologies. They're not something you just have to live with. I think a lot of this comes into play into mental health, like too much height and depth. Ooh, they're getting kind of bipolar there. Well, maybe medications are helpful, and maybe they also need some real networking, some more incorporation with the human family, and to tug on the sides to develop the width of the heart. The two aren't mutually exclusive, but it helps me a lot to understand the different directions we can move into. And essentially, the solution to every distortion is to energize the heart with breath, and then you can navigate all the challenges. And sometimes you just have to surrender. I mean, that's part of the illustration of the depth of the heart. Like, I have tried everything I know, and nothing is working, and life has just brought me to my knees. And when you surrender, that can make an opening for the back of the heart, for support that you may not have known was there to come in and carry you. But it sure is hard. But it's important to remember that your energized heart doesn't mean that you'd never experience a distortion or a wound. Actually, that energized, fully alive heart is very easily touched and moved, and perhaps even wounded. But it's very quick to restore itself when you energize with breath and heart. We have a saying that the heart contains all the medicine there is. So in a moment, I would like to share a little bit of heart rhythm meditation with you. But the reason is, like, to me, I don't want anything to do with meditation or some practice, if there isn't a reason for it, I'm very purpose driven. So there's a purpose, and it's not just to escape the stress of the world, although sometimes you need to do that. It's because we use heart rhythm meditation to achieve heart coherence and to maintain heart coherence. And that's really the foundation for heart energy healing. But you've all been sitting there digesting your food in the afternoon for a little while. So I would love for you to get up for a moment and just move with me. And I have no idea how much time has passed because the timer on my computer is way off. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. That helps. So first of all, you're already doing it. Just stretch. Oh, I wish I could just have that microphone without carrying it. Maybe I should try that. Stretch and breathe, and let's see if this one works for me. I'm going to try to trade off while you stretch and breathe for a moment. I'm going to be talking loudly anyway while we move, so if there's a stand, I thought that nice gentleman told me that the stand was gone, but I wouldn't mind having a stand. So, okay, so we're just going to move, and we want to energize the heart field a little bit. So start by just having your feet a good base underneath you. And have a little bit of room in front of you and behind you. That could be a little bit hard, but you're all just going to be in charge of your own safety. And if I tell you to do something that doesn't feel good, or you're going to smack your neighbor, you're going to make sure that you're safe, right? So we want to just start by limbering up the spine, just turning and looking behind you, letting your arms be loose. Your spine is the antenna that carries a lot of information, so let's let it move and be flexible like a good antenna should be. Strong and flexible. And then you can swing a little bit more and just let your hands land on your abdomen and your lower back. I'll try not to bang in your ear with that movement here. So, when you do that, when the hand lands on your lower back, you're knocking on the door of life. Right there on your spine, directly behind your belly button. That's what is called the door of life. And in front of you, on your lower trunk, it's what is that? The sea of Ki. I don't practice Oriental medicine, I just pretend to. You can also move your hands up to thump on the front of your chest. You can thump with as much force as is comfortable, but I'm not going to because it keeps thumping in the mic. So you really stimulate the lung fields. Let your spine remain really fluid and flexible. Thump on your heart and lungs. And your backhand can keep thumping with as much force as is comfortable on your lower back. Yeah, I can't do that. Then you can come up to your shoulders. Give yourself a nice pat on the shoulder. When you do that and stimulate the circulation and the flow, the energy into your shoulders, it helps the body-mind connection because you have more circulation between the brain and the body. And you can make better decisions. And then come back down, chest. And lower abdomen again. Let yourself turn as far as is comfortable to look behind you. And then just slow it down and let your arms trace through the air. Feeling between your fingers the movement of the air. And come to center. And just stand and feel yourself breathing. Notice how your body feels. And let's do a little bit more to just pay attention to the physical home of your heart. Give yourself a little massage under your collarbone, going out the width of your shoulders, to your shoulders, coming back in. Little thymus massage, making circles, coming to your sternum. Massage all the way down there, down the length of your sternum, down towards where your ribs really come together there at the solar plexus. Let's just do a little bit of, oh my gosh, gentle thumping. Wake up. Is this an irritating sound for you guys when you hear that? I'm not hurting your ears, then I'm just going to keep doing it because it feels good for me too. So we just tap all the way across the chest, tap down the center of the sternum, tap your belly gently for that energy to help support your digestion, all the way down each side. You really help get that flow going. And then let's tap all the way down your hands and up, down your arms, down the front of your arms and up the backs of your arms, the arms that are the extension of your heart. And then come across to the other side, tapping all the way down the inside of your arm, all the way up the outside. And repeat that. It feels good on the palm that's doing the slapping too. Then when you're ready to just, shake out those arms. Feel them. How you feel. Let your arms hang there in stillness. Okay, we're moving some more blood and some energy flow. Let's just finish up with a little bit of breathing that's called heart to the sky. You can bend forward slightly as you exhale. Inhale, stretch your arms out and look up. You don't need your head to tip back too far. Just slightly curve forward, exhale, and inhale. Letting your spine be flexible and moving with your own breath rhythm. Stretching out the chest as you open and curving the spine slightly as you bend forward. Opening up to the space around you, stretching out the heart field, gathering it all in as you exhale, bending forward. It can feel a little bit like a wave of grain, a stalk of grain waving in the wind, bending forward and back. And when you're ready to, you can let your arms drop down. Is my voice coming through the mic? Yeah. And if I speak softly like this, will it come through okay? So far, so good. Okay, so now that you have taken that time to move your body a little bit, I would invite you to take a seat, noticing your pressure, the pressure of your body on the chair. Cross your left ankle over the right. We'll just end with a little pretzel pose. So the left ankle crossed over the right, the switching pose is another way it's called. Stretch your hands out in front of you. Rotate so the backs of the hands are together and the thumbs point to the floor. Cross your right hand over the left. Interlace your fingers. And then curl up. And let your crossed hands be in front of your heart center. If you like, you can just shift into your position a little bit more and just notice how it feels. to breathe while you're crossed like this. I like how the hands kind of replicate these interlocking spirals. Just let yourself settle into that position. And when you're ready to, you can drop your hands. And take a good meditative posture. You can let your shoulders roll back a little bit so that they're open. Your lungs have full range for moving. And in heart rhythm meditation, we really focus on just having a comfortable but upright, even regal posture. So sit there on your thrones. By the way, these are some of the best chairs I've ever sat in a conference. But they are a little low. If you're able to sit in a way where your hips are slightly higher than your knees, that allows your abdomen full movement so that you can really sink into a diaphragmatic breath. But those are all details. The main thing is just sit in a way that you're able to be still in comfort for the next few minutes while we breathe through the heart. So anything that you're feeling is really important information for you. So any resistance or discomfort or experience that you have as you sit there, just take note of it and welcome that information from your body. So we want to make sure that we feel safe and comfortable, like with the sensory orientation earlier. That can make it easier to close your eyes if you're comfortable. So as you're sitting, let your gaze soften, let your eyes drop, and let your eyes close. Then you can notice the movement that continues, which is the movement of air as you breathe. This power of breathing is just going on every moment of the day without any attention. Faithful friend, the breath, really blossom as you turn your attention to it. So get a feel for this rhythm. Where do you feel the air moving? Your breath shallow? Is it up in the chest? Do you hold your breath anywhere? Notice the difference between breathing in and breathing out. Most of us specialize in one versus the other. So notice whether it's easier for you to inhale or exhale. Just be aware of that. Let yourself sink a little bit more into the breath. No need to constrain the breath or try to breathe in a particular way. But over time, with attention to your breath, breathing consciously, the breath does tend to stabilize and get deeper and slower. And make that happen a little bit more quickly by doing a little bit of humming. So I invite you with me to make a hum. You just don't even worry about the tone or the note. Just inhale, put your lips together, and hum as long as you have breath to push that hum out. Beautiful. And whenever you're ready and you need an inhale, you just let yourself breathe in, accepting the air that comes in, and then continue humming for the full length of your hum. Notice how you can vibrate different areas inside. Feel the hum in your sternum. You vibrate your ribs. Where do you feel the vibration as you hum? Let yourself inhale, receiving the full inhale when you're ready, and continue to exhale with a hum. Your hum, then just come back to your breath when you're done with the full length of your own hum. And notice the rhythm of inhale, exhale. You might be able to move a little bit more breath now, sinking fully into the exhale, fully accepting the inhale. Really letting your breath be full and silent. Perhaps you feel a pulse anywhere in your body. You may or you may not. Certainly there is a room full of beating hearts here. Notice if you spontaneously feel a pulse anywhere in your body. That is a really interesting message from your body. Where the pulse makes itself felt. And then to activate more awareness of the pulse with the heart, you can put one open hand over your heart center, either hand. Perhaps you feel the heartbeat within your chest. Perhaps you don't. You can connect this with the awareness of the pulse in your wrist by taking your free hand and putting the first two fingers, curling them around the wrist of your raised hand. You have one hand on your heart and the other hand palpating your radial pulse in your wrist. Stay connected to the rhythm of your breath, allowing yourself to exhale and inhale in your own pattern. And you can begin to use the awareness of your pulse as a measure of your breath. So at the beginning of your next natural inhale, you count the beats. If you don't feel the beats, that's fine. You can just supply the count in your head, what your pulse would feel like. Keep that steady count going, and you begin at 1 at the beginning of each exhale, and again with each inhale. So you're measuring the length of inhale, and over time, as you really allow each side to move fully, inhale and the exhale can come into balance. You don't have to work too hard at it right now. This is just a chance to really feel the breath and the heart. And as they listen to one another, you have here two instruments listening and playing together in the same time signature. So we've tuned up the heart, and we've tuned up the breath. Now they can make music together. That creates this coherent state. As your exhale and inhale start to balance each other, achieve a real sustainable presence. Some of us are more used to being able to exhale, give out what we have. It can be a challenge to inhale and receive. To allow your giving to be sustained by your receiving. And some of us are so perceptive and receptive that we're overflowing with the inhale. Hard to let it go. Just explore your pattern, feeling yourself anchored in the drumbeat of your heart. Noticing any other sounds that are around you. And let go of any of the effort of adjusting or trying to do it right. Drop your hand if you want to, or keep a hand over your heart. But just notice that there are always distractions. Mind might be teasing you. You might hear things outside. And this is a meditation that you do not need to escape to your silent cave, your silent retreat. Breathe in coherence and awareness of breath and heart wherever you are. Incorporate the distractions of life. Gain your presence. Then when you're ready to, you can just drop both hands. Feel your hands on your legs. Feel your feet on the floor. Tune into the sensation of touch and hearing. Notice what your eyes do, even with your eyes closed. Any sense of seeing or light or texture. When you're ready to, you can just blink your eyes open, look around you. Take in the atmosphere of the room around you. So I think we have a room full of people who are used to looking for stillness. I would be really happy to know what this experience has been like for you, if anything was different, if you encountered any resistance, sensations or thoughts that may have surprised you. Does anybody have a comment? Perhaps I wasn't even very audible during that. You have, like, the atmosphere in the room is really remarkable. I mean, you're clearly a group of people who's very attuned to the energies already. So thank you for doing that with me.
For me, the connecting of the heart and the breath,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that before in a meditation, and I found it very powerful and very centering. That was unique and quite wonderful.
Oh, wonderful. What was your name again? Joyce. Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah, I'm Jackie, and I found that profoundly moving. And it was so interesting because when you were saying some of us breathe in better and some of us breathe out better. And then you had us do the exercise with the counting of and the holding of the pulse. And all of a sudden it was like, I had trouble breathing in. I could exhale and hum all day long. But the breathing in was just so much bigger after holding on to my wrist and feeling my heart beat. And then the other thing that happened was that I could feel, once I got all that breath in, my heart rate sped up for a moment, and then it slowed back down as I exhaled, and then it sped up a little bit. And I was like, what's happening? It was super cool.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's why another name for heart rate variability is respiratory sinus arrhythmia, which sinus just means it's normal. It's a normal arrhythmia that I think of it. I've asked a few cardiologists this, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. I think of it that the heart is excited by the inhale and beating faster to get as many platelets through there to pick up more oxygen as possible. And then it slows down a little bit on the exhale. It's amazing, the hum. You could feel the shift in your inhale-exhale balance after humming. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Jackie. Thank you, Jackie.
I just wanted to share with you, this is really cool. It's always been a struggle for me to inhale, and exhale's always been relaxation. But when I teach yoga, I teach it actually differently, but that's different. But I had to take an emergency call, and I went out, and I was staring out the window back there while I was talking. I looked down on the floor, and I found a little pink heart bead on the floor.
And then did you inhale more?
Pretty freaky.
Touching.
She thought that was
touching.
pretty freaky.
Thank you. Yeah. Your heart was waiting for you. Anyone else?
You brought me to a place where I was almost asleep, but I was not asleep. And I can tell I wasn't going to go to sleep. I get home sometimes when I meditate, it goes up. But I just stayed there. That was really lovely.
Would you say because you weren't going to go to sleep, there was a kind of alertness, but you were still calm?
Yeah, there was an alertness, but it was really close to the sleep state, really close to the boundary. But I wasn't worried about falling asleep. I knew I was just happy. I was happy just right there. It was lovely, lovely.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds like peace because you're calm. You don't need to check out, but you're in a different state, an altered state. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that brought something for you all who are already so skilled. And this is a picture of what you did for yourself at the cellular level with the red blood cells. This actually is an individual, it's not perhaps as focused as it could be, but on the left, those are platelets in a dark field microscope slide. So taken from the person just before they started meditating. And all those platelets are stacked up like plates. They're glutenated. And that's not great because then you can have clots and you don't have good blood flow and you don't have good oxygenation. And then just after 10 minutes of doing what you just did, breathing with your heartbeat, those red blood cells are glowing, they're remagnetized, they're floating freely, and they're able to do their job. It's beautiful, huh? In heart rhythm meditation, I just love because it's such a rapid way to achieve this. So, bless you. That was actually an ecstatic sounding sneeze. I am aware we were going to take a break. So we could take a break right now for, like, if 10 minutes is good, or we could keep going. Break. So I do want to have time for more interaction, but there are a couple of things I was going to talk about too. I believe that, well, attunement is really used in a lot of energy healing methods and differently in different methods. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we think about attunement for heart energy healing. We want to have the sense that we don't have to do it all alone. And it's really valuable to attune to others, right? To connect with the people that you're working with. But in heart energy healing, we really think of attunement as a function of the back of the heart, how you get support behind you. And when you are able to do that, you don't have to feel so alone. So it's important. This is a very personal experience. Everybody has the different qualities or figures that they resonate more with. But you can take this into a very spiritual perspective, that I may attune to a great healer, a guide, a spiritual guide, an angel, or a messenger. You can also have this in a very physiological sense, that I'm attuning to my heart, to this felt sense of my heartbeat and my breath, because that is the sacred temple within, with these chambers doing work that is full of wonders beyond our full conception, even at the physiological level. And we know that when you are really connected to the full function of the heart, you're bringing a lot of resources on board. When you are connected, when you're in heart coherence, you have all those resources that we talked about before, with your immune system working. Or I didn't actually say that. I want to say that now, that your immune system actually becomes stronger. So that's a sense of protection. Your heart helps you be protected, because when you're in coherence, you're not as vulnerable. And you're also emotionally less reactive. You're more regulated. You're less likely to be drawn into situations that might suck you dry, because when you're in this coherent state and your inhale, your receptivity, balances your exhale, your expressiveness, then you can be present without draining yourself. And you have all of your mental, physical, and emotional resources really fluid and able to respond to the demands of the moment. So there's a lot of physiological and neurological evidence about how just being in a coherent state, connected with your breath and heart, gives you protection. And you can be more specific, more focused on the invisible, transpersonal support that is there for you according to your own belief system. What I love, though, about heart energy healing is that it gives me a way to interact with a lot of people regardless of any belief system. I have clients who are agnostic, who don't sense that there's anything invisible, and that's just fine. They don't have to even believe in energy work. I've worked with a number of people who don't, and they still can have very good experiences. But I really find it very valuable to connect with my own teachers, with people who've done great work in the world, with the sense that their energy carries on. And if I am aligned with my own heartbeat and breath, and I have a coherent field. My field communicates with the field of the earth, and then with all the spheres of life, then I'm able to, with my intention, tune that dial, the radio dial. There's so many channels out there in the universe, and I get to attune to who I want to have as my sense of support. So I do think that that's a little bit different than in some healing methods, but it's really helpful to me because every day I face situations where I have the sense that my training and my perception is like not adequate to the challenge that I'm facing with a client. And it doesn't all have to be up to me. I can lean back into my own heart support and let that energy come from behind and carry me forward. And then things unfold in oftentimes a really beautiful way. I like to also point out that in that sense, we get to transcend this really interesting, but I think limited idea of the individual. And I have a sense that we are in a time in history right now where we are really going to expand and transform that definition of what is an individual and what is the self. And myself, with all my resources on board, is inseparable from this broader network of life. Am I doing something wrong with this mic? Is it too blub, blub, blubby? A little bit. Yeah, maybe I should switch. Maybe I need to hold it farther. Farther? Yeah. Well, yeah, it just... Yeah. Maybe I need to use the other one. It got heavy. I can do it. I will channel. I have some interesting stories about that. Is this one better? Yeah. Okay. So what else did I want to say about that? I feel like this is really central to my practice because there are times when... Actually, I'll save that for later about other times. But an important aspect of attunement is that then I get to act as a representative. You know, there's a figure who I love to tune into because she was such a powerful but gentle and healing presence in the world when she lived in the last century. I tune into her, she helps me, and there have been so many times when I feel like I don't quite have it in me. Somebody comes into this very busy clinic where I work and they want a healing session, and I kind of just want to sit at my desk and look out the window. But but the need is there. So if I get up and do the healing, I'm not just this hollow channel that the healing energy moved through me in. I'm a representative. I am touched by that healing energy and rejuvenated by that energy as I work. And at the end of a session, the client feels better and is so grateful. And I feel better. The lower back pain I was having is gone. My headache is relieved. And that's really key to this idea of reworking the idea of the individual. I only got to engage in that healing work because you came in and asked me for help. And I only got to respond because of that. And you only got to ask because I was here. And all medicine wants, in the words of Rumi, all medicine wants is pain to heal. And we got some of that. So I got some healing to do. So I do really value this idea that I don't have to be a hollow channel. I get to be a richly embodied representative of the healing force. That's where I was, right? Yeah. Oh, wrong way. Rumi has a beautiful poem that says many things. He has many beautiful poems, but the phrase was, all medicine wants is pain to heal. Wherever the low places are, that's where water flows. Yes, rather than being a hollow channel, I'm a richly embodied representative of the healing force. That was just me, not Rumi. The only Rumi quote that I had for sure was that all medicine wants is pain to heal. What was that? A richly embodied representative of the healing force. I'm glad that resonated. So I would like to have another experience of energizing the heart the way we did before the break. And then we'll move into partner practice. So it's very important to me to have some sense of rituals, something that I repeat. You know, we learn this in nursing school, like you do your assessment in the same pattern every time and then you don't forget things. And this is a way that I have of breathing in the same pattern to make sure that I cover all the dimensions. And this is from the school of I Am Heart, to breathe in the 4 dimensions. And I find the words helpful. So when we breathe, when we have this breathing practice in a minute, we'll go through all of those and we set the intention to connect with breath and heart. We just feel ourselves breathe and feel the heart, however it is. And then we go into the vertical dimension, inspiration, rising into the heights, exhalation, sinking into the depth. With your awareness, as you inhale, you're rising up, and as you exhale, you're dropping down. And then we go into the width of the heart, receiving from the left and giving on the right. And that would be inhaling left, exhaling right. So 1 breath for the width dimension. And then moving into the forward and back, the length of the heart. We're the breath of life, inhaling from right between the shoulder blades, right there. And exhaling light. So it's a breath of life and light. And then coming into the innermost dimension, filling my heart and illuminating my presence on the exhale. So it's just your first breath to set your intention, inhale and exhale, but then it's really just 4 breaths. Inspiration, exhalation, that's 1. Receiving and giving, that's 2. Breath of life and light, 3. And filling my heart into the inner and illuminating to the outer. It's 4 breaths, 5 if you count the first intention one. So you all take 5 breaths all the time. So a little micro break. So if you would like to, once again, just wiggle in your chair a little bit. I know you got to move already a few minutes, but find that comfortable position where you're able to sit in stillness for a few moments. And consider that you are sitting on the throne of your life. Because if you're not ruling your life, something will. So don't abdicate your rulership. And allow yourself to be comfortable, upright, dignified. Be aware of your head just balancing effortlessly on the tip of your spine. Your chin can be parallel the floor so that you don't have to drop down or drift upward, but just on an even plane. And connect again with your breath. Receiving the information that your body, mind, system offers to you. Anything and everything that your system presents is welcome. And you keep breathing through any of the information or distraction that comes. So you've connected with your breath, and you can place one hand or both hands on your chest. You could also feel, if it's comfortable and interesting to you, the sense of having your hand close to but not touching your chest, over your heart center. And connecting with your heart in this way. Allowing yourself to receive the fullness of the inhale and release the fullness of your exhale. We're listening to the rhythm of the breath and the heart. Allow the rhythm to come into balance. So if you're inhaling a little bit less than your exhale, then just consider sitting back a little bit more, softening into it, and being aware of any resistance that's there. And allow your breath to keep moving without constriction. And we'll explore the height of the heart by letting yourself inhale with the sense that you're being buoyed up into the inhale. And dropping down into the center of your chest on the exhale. You could even have the sense that as you're sitting here, you're in the cave of your own heart, and we're going to feel out the dimensions of the heart with the breath in each direction. So you consider, how far up does the inhale rise before you find the roof, before you find your ceiling, and let your breath drop back down again. Notice the awareness in your body of rising up. Notice any memories or sensations that you have with the sense of allowing the uplift of your heart. You might have a sense that the inhale rises up to a certain part of your body or even up above your head. Just take note of it wherever you feel that makes perfect sense for who you are right now. And then coming back to the center of your heart, let's drop down on the exhale to feel out the depths. Where's the floor of this cave of your heart? How far down do you drop with the exhale? Where do you seem to land? Look for a sense in your body. there usually are dimensions where we just don't want to go yet, and that is fine. Because every heart to love will come, but like a refugee. In the words of the late, great Leonard Cohen. So you do not need to push it, but if the depth is available to you, sink into it and notice how far it goes. And then coming back into the center of your chest, we'll feel out and assess the left, where you inhale from the left and you can exhale the same direction. Just letting yourself reach out on the left. Does your breath travel across your chest? Does it go to your shoulder? Does it go farther? Inhaling and exhaling to the left. Receiving any information or sensation that gives you, come back to the center. And exhale now to the right, letting your breath unfurl to the side with the intention of reaching out to that side of the center of your heart. Do different colors emerge, different sensations, freedom or restriction. Maintain gentle curiosity with what you discover in each dimension. Taking note of what you feel to the right, you come back to the center of your heart. And be aware of the space between your shoulder blades. Is it accessible for you to exhale back through your spine, between your shoulder blades, even the back of your neck? And receive the inhale as if you're perhaps being breathed from behind. As you exhale backwards, how far back do you lean energetically? From how far behind you does the inhale travel to enter your heart? Coming back into the center of your heart. Exhale forward. And feel it out with the sensation of your heart, the vision of your heart, any sounds that you hear. How far does the forward exhale go? Remaining open to that forward dimension on the inhale. What happens with your heart when you breathe in from the front? And then just take the breath in from all directions around you as you inhale into the innermost realm of your heart. You inhale into the innermost region, and when you exhale, the breath just fills up inside. The breath permeates the inner reaches of your heart. If there's any light associated with it, notice the qualities or colors that emerge for you. So you draw in the breath and you release it to fill up all of the spaces inside. What are the experiences of the inner realms of your heart? And coming from this innermost place, you can exhale again into all directions. A breath that's all pervading, directionless, but traveling, filling up your space. What is the shape of your heart right now? How far out does your heart extend in all directions? So then bring your awareness back to the center of your chest, to your shoulders and trunk and body. Being aware of what you just explored, what you discovered in the exploration of the 4 dimensions. And then if it feels accessible to you, we would just go through each of the dimensions now with one breath at your own pace, where we have the condensed practice that you connect with breath and heart. On the inspiration to the height, the exhalation to the depth. Receiving from the left and giving to the right, the breath of life from behind and light going forth, filling my heart, inhale, and illuminating my presence with your exhale. And when you're ready to just shift in your chair, thank yourself for going into the heart, exploring this treasure within you. If you want to note down anything that you observed that you want to remember, that could be a good thing to do. Just soak up, be permeated by what you experienced. And I would really be interested to know if this gave you new information about yourself. Did anybody discover anything about the dimensions of your heart? Or do you feel just mellow now and maybe don't necessarily need to talk? Because we could also just go into partner practice. we do have a few more things I want to cover. So maybe we should just go into partner practice. Is that good? So find somebody, you know what, you're probably sitting next to people that you know. It's really fascinating. And if you're not, fine. It's fascinating to do this with somebody who you know very little about, but just sit with whoever you want to. And I would ask you to sit facing each other, and then I'll talk you through it. So if you're able to sit just directly facing each other, that's great. I'd like you to be able to sit upright without having to lean. I think we're getting there. So you have your partner, and you might have even gotten to know a little something about them right now. And you can definitely do this in a trio too. And I would encourage that each of you, you know, if you have more than one person, there's one person that you're focusing on as you, what we'll do is something called contemplation. So you certainly can contemplate a community or a nation, but it would be helpful to focus on one of the group of people that you're with to start with. So you may have discovered something just now about your own, the dimensions of your own heart, and you just let that go right now, and you connect again with your own breath and heart. And when we do this with partners, you've already introduced yourself, I take it. So then we want to just have a position where you're able to be still and look towards the other person. And in contemplation, we're just working on experiencing the other person, not from the eyes or the mind, but from the heart. So when we look at each other, we will be looking with the sense of looking from the heart. So you sit in stillness, looking at the other. And if this is accessible to you, just allow yourself to gaze into each other's eyes for a few moments. It's a powerful, simple practice of just allowing yourself to see and be seen. And of course, what you're really immersing yourself in right now is seeing the other person. And notice what it feels like just to be in their presence. Being aware of the sensations that you're having. Take the palm of your left hand and put your left palm upright in your lap and your right palm downward in your own lap. And then maintaining that position with the left hand up, just raise your hands so that you're palm to palm with your partner, but without necessarily touching, just feeling the flow between you. And then you can go ahead and close your eyes and settle into your own breath and heartbeat while you're receiving the presence of the other. And allow yourself to exhale from your heart center. While you're also inhaling from the left and now exhaling to the right, having this cycle of breath passing between you. Being aware of the sensation of drawing in, being in the presence of your partner. Take another breath And go ahead and drop your hands into your own lap. And as you sit back, you're still connected, exhaling from your heart to your partner's heart. Inhaling your partner's heart into your own. You have this bridge between your hearts. Illuminated by your heart's perception. On your inhale, you can draw in your partner from in front of you, pulling them into the left side of you, almost like you're bringing them over, like a shawl that settles around you. You're taking on your partner, allowing them to sink into your own heart. You sense the presence of your partner within your heart. Feeling the sensations that come up. And perhaps exploring the dimensions of the heart of your partner. Inhaling and exhaling. What feels different experiencing your partner than when you were just experiencing yourself? Sometimes there's an immediate experience that you really want to stay with and explore more. But you can also guide your exploration with exploring the height, the depth, going through each dimension, the left, the right. Is this the same as what you experienced on your own? What do you feel? After taking in your partner for some time, you can continue to inhale and exhale, and then have the intention to release this experience by exhaling to the right, sending all that you have felt back to the physical presence of the individual in front of you. Releasing them with a sense of gratitude for this incredible intimacy. And releasing them with words of goodness. Whatever words might come to you. But the vibration that's carried of being well. May you be well. May all beings be well. And then settle back into your own heart sanctum, having released your partner, being aware of any shift that you feel as you fully occupy your own space. settling and shifting in your chair. When you're ready to, you can blink your eyes open. And take a few moments to discuss with your partner what you experienced. I would like each partner to get a chance, so I'll remind you in a couple of minutes, like 2 minutes or 3 per partner. Well, I can see that you all have some experiences to share. And if anybody wants to share that experience with the group, I'm going to try to end pretty soon. So that means you all just have to join me another time because I have more I want to tell you. So we'll take a few minutes just to share what that was like.
I really thought
If there was anything new or surprising for you. Yes.
This was so amazing. What I felt is that our heart was one. That there wasn't a separate, like, my heart goes out to here and her heart goes out to there. It was like one heart, and it went through her back and through me and through my back, and it was wider. I sense more a narrow heart, but like this dimension. But that's what I felt. But it was so powerful that it was one heart and not two hearts.
That is so beautiful. And when you came back as you were transitioning just to yourself, what was that the same as when you were sitting in your own heart on your own before?
No.
What was different?
It was like before I felt my heart to the shoulder and here and here. And now my heart felt like out here, out here, out here, out here. So it was
Wow.
like my heart grew.
It grew. Amen. Thank you. That is pure magic, real magic, heart medicine. Thank you. Anyone else want to share 1 or 2 more?
On Helen Bell to speak up. Lori. This is just for Lori, but no. So my partner's Lexi. Thank you, Lexi. Is this better? It felt very grounding for me. I have a history of blood pressure, and so I the first few seconds, this extreme calmness that came. Thank you, Lexi. It was very grounding.
Wonderful.
Thank
So you felt a change from doing that. Yeah, it was grounding. Thank you. Yeah. It's interesting how we can ground more with somebody else sometimes than we do on our own. Yes, one more.
I think we both could feel that flow of energy going as we were breathing in and breathing out. But the thing that really caught my attention even more than that was after we had released each other, like you were saying, it felt so different. It's like before there was definitely a flat spot, and then it wasn't quite so flat after we did it. It was really interesting. Very different experience.
It's really amazing that we have each other to work with that way. And that's, there are many ways that we can learn from this. I mean, we can understand something about another person that we would not have gotten just from talking to them. And we get to change how we feel. We are enriched by that. And there's the expression, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the particular country in Africa that it comes from, but you are, therefore I am. So the self doesn't necessarily exist apart. Or it does. You were more constrained. And then you connect energetically, and your personhood becomes activated. So I would love to have taken more time to explore this. And there are many other like seated heart energy healing practices that we can all do another time. But I know that there's going to be weather and you all have to drive home. But this is just, a little example of what we can do with assessing and the way that you assess with heart energy, and then the intervention. So I'm giving you a little glimpse of that. But to me, what's really so important is to consider this sense of self versus personhood. This is a painting by a Peruvian artist who I am so honored to know, Miguel Molina, and I just fell in love with this painting, and he explained it to me. Does anybody want to join me to demonstrate this? Can somebody just step up here? Yeah, come on up. So I'm here, and I am who I am, but I become more fully me, as you described, when we join together and we dance like this, and I'm seeing you through this eye, and I'm seeing the distance through that eye, and you're doing the same. So we connect with each other, but we connect with the whole environment. And so you see everything that I can't see. And now, in this Peruvian cosmology, now we are one. Yes, and it doesn't work alone. Ah, beautiful. So, you know this already. Or there's more to know because you're going back. Mm-hmm. So we're one. I wasn't totally one until she joined me. So, but this one is going to be enriched and enlivened by another one. So you two, we need to get together with them. Now we have one and one. We have one and one. And so now we're two. This is Peruvian math. Get it? But two is good. Why not three? And so we'd have one and one. Now there's three of us. We'd really do a lot better if there were even more. So we won't go through the whole dance. I mean, we should. I should have some music and we just dance our way into the end now. Thank you so much. To me, it just helps to have a person there. So the indigenous scholar Uriah Seledwin writes about this as well, that the failure of self-care in the Western mindfulness approach has to do with this delusional sense of an isolated individual. This is a tough one to chew on for us who like having our own single apartments and to live our autonomous lives. I know this as somebody with a lot of height of the heart and wanting to do my own thing. But self-care, when you're just isolating yourself, isn't that resonant? And I think nurses are bad at self-care because we love to care for other people. And we become more fully ourselves in that connection. And that's okay. And how do we do that? This, I think, is the challenge of our present moment. How do we fully show up for ourselves in connection with the other and with all the others? And then it's not self-care just based on the limited individual. And that's really my dream behind behind nurses healing nurses, is that I know nurses don't need more interventions to do with clients. We've got a ton, and all people in the healing professions do. And yet they aren't going to just go do stuff for self-care. So the idea is that this is a network of sharing energy healing with each other on a regular basis, so that we are supporting each other through the methods of heart energy healing. And I regret that I didn't give you more of the material that I have. I hope that was enriching for you, and I would really very much appreciate any feedback that you have that you can do with this code. And within that, it's a totally anonymous survey unless you choose to. There's also the web address on there that you can use if you don't have a smartphone. Bless your heart if you don't have a smartphone. More power to you. And you can go to the library and use a public computer and do the same thing with the web address that's there, and the slides will be available. And there's also a code. The survey is anonymous. If you choose to share your name and email, I'd be delighted and give you information. And whether you share that or not, you can use the code that's on that survey for 30% off of the next level 1 heart energy healing training, which is an 8-week course in July and August. And I just would love to share it with you all. So thank you. Thank you so much for the patience of your time and your presence. And I have to say, like Lori reminded me, that humming was amazing. It brought tears to my eyes, and I just thank you so much for your presence and authenticity here today.
Just wanted to thank Lori Harger again. I hope you do follow through. I just wanted to give her another round of applause. And I will turn it over to Stacy for the drawing.